Good evening, Bills Mafia. Welcome. Happy Monday. Welcome to Buffalo Late Night. I am Thomas DeLoss. Glad you're here. It's been an odd day today, so I'm glad you're taking some time to join us this evening. Tonight, we've got two of my buddies joining us this evening. We've got Hansel, also known as Uber Hansen, from Cover One, and one of my cohorts, as well as Back of the Herd, Jeremy, on the Process on Tap podcast. And then also we have Adam Zintak from Built in Buffalo. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
It's good. Almost a season. It needs to get here sooner than later, though.
Yep, same here. Just ready for some football. Slow grind of the off season. We waited a long time to see our beloved Bills play some football, and I'm ready. We're 1 month away today from dominating the Rams on Thursday Night Football. So
getting there quickly. Now here at Buffalo Late Night, we are proud to be sponsored by both the Dentist for Kids and Travis Matthews. We'll be hearing more about them as the night goes on. Also, if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the like and share. We'd love to hear. Comment on tonight's show. If you are watching on YouTube, on Twitter, hop over to YouTube and you can actually comment on tonight's show, give us some feedback, and kind of tell us what you're thinking on the current topic. Also, big news today for Buffalo Late Night. We're incredibly honored and excited of announcing a new and our first contributor to Buffalo Late Night, Dr. Kyle Tribble. of Banged Up Bills. Welcome aboard, Kyle. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, super pumped. Kyle will be giving Buffalo Late Night some in-depth analysis, injuries, anything that's going on with the Bills that you have questions about in regards to injuries. Kyle is that guy. He also does work with Locked On Bills and Cover One. He is the trusted source. So we're super excited to have him on the show, and he'll be here weekly, normally anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. Hopefully it's 5 because that means things are looking good for the Bills. But Kyle, we're going to start off with you tonight. Obviously, you and I spoke earlier today, in regards to like Spencer Brown and his injury. What are you looking at in terms of his injury? Do you suspect he's going to be able to get back fully, or is this kind of a slow churn?
Right now, it's going to be a slow churn. And when I say a slow churn, that means he's going to have to work back into conditioning. It's important to note that he wasn't put on the PUP to start the season, and then he was allowed to kind of work in that way. So he's already begun his conditioning. They just didn't want to expose him to unnecessary contact too soon. To give you a brief timeline, he had surgery announced, I believe it was May 24th, May 23rd, where it was an undisclosed procedure. And they didn't really say what was going on. And I had detailed this out in my articles at bangedupbills.com and on different podcasts, whatnot. And you could eliminate a lot of body parts that he had surgery on based off of some of the Instagram pictures, some of the reporting and everything else with that there. So it narrowed it down to groin, hip, back, shoulder. Those are the kind of areas that wasn't exposed. And we got from Mark Gaughan of the Buffalo News that reported that he had back surgery. So we finally got a definitive diagnosis based off of that. So knowing what was going on there, it's suspected that he possibly had a discectomy, which is basically where they remove a piece of the lumbar disc that sits in between your vertebrae and your spine, allows you to move and, bend forward, backwards, all the different activities. It allows us to stand upright, acting as a compressive distributor, so that you can stand upright and that your body's not going to fall over on itself. So they removed that piece there, theoretically, based off of what we know, that was pushing on the nerve, causing what we call sciatica or radiculopathy, and that can cause pain down the leg. So those they take anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks to fully recover from in the normal population. And with the athletic population, you're moving your body at the highest level possible. So they want to make sure that they're not going to stress the area where that had herniated. They want to make sure it scars down in there. And they want to make sure that he's not going to have a residual pain or pain coming down the leg like he had before. We don't know. We have an idea when he originally injured the back. It was back during the prior to week 7 because they had the bye week. So he injured during training. So we don't have a video of how he did it. But he missed the next 2 games, week 8 and week 9. And then he kind of dealt with it. And we saw his play kind of decrease a little bit throughout the season, but we could have also contributed that toward hitting the rookie wall. So looking at camp, he needs to continue going through his reps. He got into 11 on 11 today, which was great to see. And we're hoping that continues to ramp up and maybe get into the starting lineup exactly a month from now. There is a small chance he can re-herniate the disc, but it's like 15%, which it's not as I use Greg Tomset's term, non-zero chance, but it's a small chance, but it's a minimal chance.
Okay. Do you suspect that, I know you said that he could re-injure it. I know he's had multiple back injuries thus far. Is this something that you suspect he'll probably kind of be able to, with proper training and kind of prehabbing, that he should be able to kind of deviate from going forward?
Well, as far as I recall, this is the only back injury he's had, which is positive. But a lot of stretching, a lot of prehabbing, as you said, where you're just trying to maintain the mobility and try to get ahead of things before it becomes a problem. That's where it's going to come key there. So we've seen plenty of guys get discectomies and back surgeries and go on and have long, productive careers. So it's not saying that he's going to deal with this problem forever, but it's going to be there just as a possibility if he continues to have this problem down the line. But the concern is when you start monkeying around there that you're going to lead to more back surgeries, potential fusions later on. But even then, you can still play with all that stuff later on. But the hope is he's young enough. It was a isolated incident and it doesn't cause any problems down the line.
Do you have any other injuries that you've been looking at? I know Marquez Stevenson had the apparent foot injury. Anything else you've been kind of keeping tabs on at this point?
Stevenson, he's concerning because there was video, or not video, but pictures he even posted up on his Instagram that came out with him in a boot. It was about halfway up the leg, so signifying that it was more of just a foot issue, as they had said, versus like ankle issue, which we see the higher boot. We don't know whether he's able to put weight through this thing. And the reason why that is because he's sitting on the scooter watching practice, but we don't know if he's able to walk around. The presence of the scooter does not state that he can't put weight through it. And what I mean that is the scooter could help him go farther distances without having to straighten the foot by walking on an uneven surface, with the boot braise him up a little bit compared to the other foot. But the concern is we don't know the specifics behind what happened. We know that he was tied up with Kaiir Elam, fell down on his foot, but we don't know whether this is like a midfoot sprain, if it's a Lisfranc, if it's a Jones fracture, if he had just regular fracture. They haven't given us any details. So until we get more information, he's a guy that's probably going to be missing some time, like they said, some weeks. And he could either go to IR now, miss entire season, or make the active roster, then go to IR, and then they can bring him back during the regular season like they did last year, which is important to note that he did suffer a right foot injury in the preseason against the Bears, which led to him being on IR in the first place.
Adam, Hansel, any questions?
No, I think that like the Spencer Brown one definitely is the thing I'm focusing on, just because obviously I want all the protection for Josh Allen that I can get, and a back injury to me, especially for an offensive tackle that has to actually have that bend, right? Like he's going to be leaning back trying to catch the weight of DNs coming at him. If his back isn't 100%, yeah, that's going to hurt a little bit, and we don't really want that. So yeah, it's like like we were saying, the fact that he was in 11 on 11s today, that's an important sign, but definitely something to monitor.
Yep. And I really hope Spencer Brown can make it back in the lineup in time. I think it's more sad for Stevenson with him missing so much time last year, and then this year kind of having a similar injury because he really was competing for that kick return, punt return position. The wide receiver room has been stacked as of late, so I really don't see him kind of being on the wide receiving room, but I was really hoping he kind of would make a push for the KRPR team. So it's just unfortunate. I really liked his highlights. I really thought that was a solid pickup from the Bills. So my heart just breaks for him. He's a professional, but he's also a human being, and that's gotta break his heart too. Off-season grind, working his tail off, and then just to come into camp and get hurt again.
Exactly. And we saw he's on a similar track as what Isaiah Hodgins was. The first year he had his shoulder labrum tear to get repaired. He tried coming back and could never really get up to speed with that because he re-injured it. And then he had a knee MCL sprain in the preseason last year, and he just never really got going. And we're seeing that he's having better camp now. So it's like once these guys get healthy, sometimes they can flash and be the reason why they were drafted in the first place. But injuries, I mean, they really just – they're random at times, and they can really slow up a guy's development.
Yep.
Is there expectation that Ryan Bates is probably pretty much full go at this point, or is another one kind of like Spencer where they're kind of easing back in?
As far as I know, he's full go. He was full go at the practice on Friday. We never got an injury designation as to what was going on, but I did see on the Buffalo News that was posted maybe 2 hours ago, that picture of Bates in practice and a full black compression sleeve on his left leg, signifying some type of swelling. I assume somewhere in the knee, based off of just they need that full length of the leg, but it's just that's speculation. But we know that it's a left leg issue that they termed it soreness, but we're starting to see that they're just terming guys soreness, kind of like you see in hockey with lower body, upper body. I'm sure they don't want to put more speculation to stuff that's already been going on, but it could be hamstring too. There could be other stuff, but they're just keeping it general, knowing that they don't have to rush these guys back out here. But we know it's left leg now based off the pictures, and he's back to full go though. Gotcha.
And I got one more for you, and then we'll let you go. Jordan Poyer, obviously, he had that hyperextension of the elbow. What's a general timetable? I know people are thinking he'll be back by week 1, but they obviously don't want to put him in any harm's way.
Week 1 is definitely realistic, considering he did this when he did. He has a full month. He doesn't need the reps like some of the other guys do, and he didn't suffer any additional damage. I mean, it's just a hyperextension. Your elbow does have some natural hyperextension past the point of full extension there, but he really stressed everything in there, and so he stretched it out. So kind of like a sprain, but it just irritated the heck out of everything, and it just really needs to get that full range of motion, pain-free, get rid of the swelling, and regain any strength deficits in his wrist, hand, and elbow. So I don't anticipate that he's going to wear a brace. He's not usually one to be putting stuff on left steps so it needs to. I know he wore a brace on his, or no, he didn't wear his brace too often, but he had to put tape on, things like that. He had a partial rotator cuff tear last year in his right shoulder, and he played through. So I don't think he's going to put anything on there that's going to hamper him unless he absolutely needs it for stability. But given a month, I don't think he's going to have any problems come week 1.
And do you think Trey will be ready for week 1 too?
That's the question I get everywhere. That's the question.
Come on, let's go. Just say yes. Speak it into existence.
So,
yep, he's going to be back.
So I did an article about Buffalo Rumblings. I dove into that as requested by my editor, Matt Warren. But I believe he was on the show last week, correct?
He was. Good guy.
Yeah. So he asked me, he goes, well, you want to kind of guesstimate what's going on? So I dug into it. He's going to be 9 months on August 25th. And usually we know after 9 months, the risk to re-tear goes down. It's not eliminated altogether. It's a risk for up to 2 years afterward. But we start seeing where if you return to sport prior to 9 months, your risk is significantly increased than if you wait each month. It goes down like by 50%. So once you hit that 9 month mark, he's usually okay. He's not going to be 100%. I had speculated he's going to turn in week 2. The reason because of that is because if you do 9 month at August 25th, and then you give him 3 weeks, that brings you to week 2 and change. I feel like they want to get him in the defensive practice and being actually on the field rather than just doing stuff off to the side. So he could return in week 1, but I feel like he'd be rushed, especially if they pull him off pup late and he can't get into the defense. But if you give him that time to ramp up, and then you can get at home against the Tennessee Titans week 2, that's a perfect stage to reintroduce yourself.
Can I ask a question while I got you on the line here?
Absolutely.
So Bucks fans, with Chris Godwin kind of being back so soon, I know that like as a Bills fan, it's a little discouraging to be like, oh, we see Godwin in full pads practicing. He's a receiver, so it's a little more physical. It seems to me. What could possibly be the difference between Trey White's injury and Chris Godwin's? Is it just that maybe the Bucks are in desperate need of wide receivers, so they rushed him back a little bit, or is it a case of everybody's different, everyone recovers differently?
Everybody's different. Everybody recovers differently. But there is one key difference between those two positions. Godwin dictates the action. White reacts to the reaction or to the action.
Excellent
So,
point.
yeah, so Godwin can kind of dictate where he wants to go. He might be hesitant to push off that leg in certain routes. I can't remember off the top of my head which side he tore, but he might try to push off the strong side, limiting his route tree. And he might also be on snap counts, if it's just red zone work or if it's just, whatever they want to do with him. So I don't see him getting a heavy workload early on. Same thing with Trey White. We see all the cornerbacks starting to kind of make their selves known in the training camp right now, but I see them kind of be on a snap count with White, bring him in an obvious, whether it's rushing or passing downs. I don't know how they want to do that yet, but they're not going to expose him doing 100% of snaps, week 1, week 2, whatever it is. So the big difference is White is also going to have trouble on certain routes just because he's not going to be able to pivot off that leg as effectively, and he's going to be fine, but it's just he's going to know he's not there yet, and we're going to see little glimpses of that. But as he goes on, he's going to continue getting better and better, and we know he's working hard. So it's just difference between dictating the action versus reacting to the action.
Excellent answer. Thank you.
Awesome. Kyle, appreciate you. I'm incredibly honored that you are now on this show and get to speak with you a little bit each week. As I said, I hope it's for little to no time, but next week's show we'll be able to actually talk in volume about an actual Bills game. So that's very exciting. Awesome. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kyle Trimble, Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
See you, Kyle.
Bye.
Okay, ladies and gents, let's get into tonight's discourse. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple different things, but before we get too deep into all that, I'm just going to do a real quick read for one of my sponsors. A Dentist for Kids offers kids individual dental treatment for kids of all ages. I totally butchered that. But providing a relaxed, fun, and encouraging environment, Dr. Zach's goal is to help your child build confidence in their smile and with their overall dental health. A Dentist for Kids is currently accepting new patients, and they participate with most major insurances. If you visit Dr. Zach, mention Buffalo Late Night for $25 off your choice of a custom whitening kit or an electric toothbrush. Call today and set up an appointment with Dr. Zach and his team. 585-538-7230. I say it every week. If you got a kid that does not like going to the dentist, which most of them don't, go see Dr. Zach. He's fantastic. He'll take care of you, and you'll thank him all the while because you won't have to worry about a sad kid. Now, guys, let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it tonight. There's a couple little things I want to talk to first, though. Roger Goodell stated that they will appeal the decision by Sue Robinson. They're going to have their own person alongside of that. What's your we lost Hansel, and he's back. There he is. Oh,
sorry.
All good. No worries.
We heard Roger Goodell and he was out of there. Hansel was like, I'm not doing this right now.
I'm going. Obviously, Roger Goodell, he stated he wanted to appeal this. No surprise there. What do you guys think?
You're talking about Deshaun Watson, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So, I've been pretty outspoken about it. I think he should be suspended a minimum of 1 year, if not indefinitely. The one concern I have, and I've actually heard a lot of people bring this up, is that by kind of appealing this, what the NFL is doing is they're setting themselves up for a big fight from Watson's camp, and one that Watson's camp could kind of win. Essentially, what Watson's camp will do is say, hey, what did you do to Robert Kraft? What did you do to Dan Snyder for all their indiscretions they had? And Watson has a fair argument there. I mean, I'm not going to say it's less or more severe, but one count for what's his name? Now I'm losing my train of thought. One count for Robert Kraft compared to 24 for Watson. Whatever it is doesn't really matter. But the argument's there that there's an inconsistency in kind of the punishments, especially when the NFL has said time and time again that we hold our owners to a higher standard. If they hold the owners to a higher standard, why weren't those guys punished when Watson is being punished? Again, if I had my choice here, Watson suspended a minimum of a year, if not indefinitely, with some sort of thing applied to his suspension that holds him out until he achieves some sort of status. But there's going to be some issues here if the NFL pushes for more than a year.
Yeah, and I think too, if you go back even more historically too, within that own division, the punishment for Ben Roethlisberger a few years ago as well, he can go back to that. For me, personally, there's no room for it in the game of football. I know that each punishment is different, but I think that it sets a bad precedent to let this man play football. Personally, I would like to see a 2-year suspension only because of the way that the Browns intentionally gave him his contract, where his base salary this year is $690,000 and then next year is $46 million. Intentionally designing a contract in a way that if you think he's going to get suspended, you're not going to take a blow from it. That just, to me, I understand from a business standpoint, but from a human standpoint, that is just so dirty and gross to me. So that's why I would like to see an extension of over a year. A suspension of well over a year into 2 years, just so that the Browns can feel it a little bit. And I don't really know why or who was up with the scheduling, and I apologize for whoever's dealing with the brunt of this for the PR, but the National Massage Therapist Convention is in Cleveland, Ohio this year. And it's just like, it seems like such a big joke. I don't know. For me, the big thing that I saw that really grossed me out was that the judge's decision included a addendum that stated that Deshaun Watson couldn't get a massage from anyone outside of the Cleveland Browns organization. If you think he's innocent, you're not going to put that addendum in there. Much like with Kyler Murray, if you think he's studying, you're not going to put a 4-hour addendum into his contract. So I hope it lasts more than a year. I really hope this isn't a situation of his camp appealing and then getting a lesser sentence. But either way, I just hope justice in some way is served and the victims of the tragedy just get some kind of, I don't know. I just hope that they get something.
I'll say this, and by the way, Robbie, Let's Talk 71 Sports is here. Good evening, friend. I gotta say, I like that Goodell's doing this, even though if he's having a different arbiter take care of the situation. It'd be the one time if this goes according to plan that the NFL seemingly has done something right against all odds, especially when it came to women in sports, because thus far they've fumbled beyond measure. I mean, with the Ray Rice, Kareem Hunt, the list goes on. So if they handle this the right way, potentially you're talking about a precedent could be sent or could be set, and now you're talking it's, the next act is even more egregious, and the punishment is the letter of the law.
It's just one more tiny thing. I don't mean to go off on a tangent. It's just hard for there to be quote unquote justice served when, regardless of the suspension, unless it's indefinite, this dude's going to come back and make $46 million a year. I don't know. That's
right.
Kind of gross.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what comes of this. I mean, my hope, to be honest with you, like you said, is indefinite. Just because, quite frankly, there's no room for guys like him in this sport, and you're really just ostracizing fans from not only the Browns organization, female fans, but fans all over the league. And tonight I was actually out to dinner with a bunch of family, and they're 3 of my family members are Browns fans. And my cousin Megan, she even stated herself, she's like, I have a daughter, like it's disgusting. It makes my skin crawl, and she doesn't like it. She doesn't like that he's, on the team, and so she's been pushing for her son to actually become a Josh Allen fan. So I'm about it.
Yeah.
Just show her like one highlight reel and he's set. That's all.
Yeah. All you gotta do is just, he's just that good old fashioned corn-fed guy. So the big news going around Buffalo today was Von Miller made another cryptic post alluding to his desire to team with OBJ again. What do you guys think? What's your feeling on Odell Beckham Jr. potentially joining the Bills at least at some point this season?
Hansel, you can go first for all of these, so it's not awkward when we're looking at
Okay, yeah, sounds good to me. So this is actually kind of interesting. Like, this was kind of going around a little bit last year too, like people wanting the Bills to trade for OBJ. And at the time, I was adamantly no, I do not want OBJ on my team because I did look at him as this kind of diva, like wide receiver that was going to be a locker room cancer, especially the way things went down with the Browns and like his dad posting that video about Baker Mayfield and his inconsistencies throwing the football. Saying that though, after watching him go to the Rams and play with the Rams and how he played and how he performed in the Super Bowl prior to his injury, started to change my opinion a little bit. And since 2020, I've said the Bills need to make a Super Bowl move every single year. I guess for the past couple of years, I've said this. And Von Miller was a Super Bowl move. That's 100%. I'm good. We did our Super Bowl move. But like, let's say it's week 10 and the Bills go, hey, we're going to bring in OBJ for the playoff run. Now that's a Super Bowl move too. Like that is just something that puts this team so unbelievably over the top that, yeah, if he wants to come play and get another ring, I'll sign up for it. I mean, he would have to take a lower contract just because the Bills don't have the money to pay him. But again, if he wants to come here and compete for a Super Bowl, and that would be why he would come to Buffalo, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat there. I mean, in the postseason last year, he finished with 21 catches for 288 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Just had to pull that up. I did not know that off the top of my head. Just had to do a quick search of that. But I mean, Hansel said it best, right? If you're a Super Bowl aspiration team, you make Super Bowl moves. And the best part is he doesn't have to make that decision now. Bills Mafia, I'm not an expert by any means, but I highly doubt there will be a decision this month or next month with OBJ and where he's going. He's going to wait it out because there's going to be teams who are making playoff pushes where one of their number 2 or number 3 guys might go down, and he might jump on that opportunity. But if it's nearing the playoffs, the Bills are a top seed in the NFL. They're looking at OBJ, who's coming back healthy from an ACL injury. We've seen it. I don't think there's a sports fan in the nation or world who hasn't seen OBJ's catch his, rookie year against Dallas, that one-handed astronomical catch. That's what kind of player OBJ is to your team. Yes, he also might be the player that kicks that net from the field goal and then hugs it after getting the game-winning touchdown. But Odell Beckham Jr., when healthy, is a game changer. Would you like to add another game-changing offensive weapon for Josh Allen in this Bills offense? Take the drama aside. Look, with the McDermott and Bean era, we've had guys like Richie Incognito on our team. People come to Buffalo, they buy into the culture, and they succeed. I see no difference in OBJ, and come late the season, gearing up for the playoffs, if we sign him, I will be ecstatic.
And I'm just going to add one more point just because I get to throw out a conspiracy theory I've had for years now that I've really never said publicly. But I'm going to connect these two. So back in 2020, when Le'Veon Bell left the Jets, I believe, cut him. The rumored teams two of the rumored teams were Kansas City and the Bills. There was a third team. I don't remember who it was, but I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, the Chiefs did not want Le'Veon Bell. What they wanted was the Bills to not have Le'Veon Bell. That's why they signed him and they barely used him. The reason I bring this up is, at a minimum, signing OBJ for the Bills keeps him away from other teams. So they could, in theory, be like, yeah, we don't really need him, but we don't want Patrick Mahomes to have Odell Beckham. So we'll sign him just so they can't have him. And we also get the weapon that is OBJ. So that is my weird conspiracy theory that I've had since 2020, that the Chiefs didn't want Le'Veon. They just did it to keep him away from the Bills.
Can we go back a few years, right? If we're all Bills fans, go back a few years and tell yourself that Von Miller is trying to recruit Odell Beckham Jr. to join the Bills. You'd be like, wait, what? What is going on? Oh, and by the way, your quarterback is a franchise quarterback who's leading the league in MVP from Vegas odds, and your team is a Super Bowl favorites. It's just every tiny little wrinkle that happens in the offseason, players that the Bills are linked to, landing Von Miller out of nowhere, him going on Instagram, Odell responding back. You know what happened last time? It's an amazing time to be a Bills fan when it started from we'd have to overpay for premium players just to get them in the door.
Yeah, it's crazy, and just like you said, having a guy like Odell Beckham, sure, you don't necessarily need him, and sure, he's a luxury. But when you're a franchise who's deprived of a championship in a city that's deprived of a championship, because trust me, if you go to Terry Pagula and say, I think this guy might put us over the top, especially Terry and Ken Pagula, who've taken a lot of heat with the Sabres, they will do, I would say, almost anything at this point to bring a championship to Buffalo into Western New York. And if that means bringing Odell Beckham Jr., do it. Do it. Because quite frankly, like you said, Hansel, when he was in Los Angeles this past year, he kind of proved the critics wrong. Because the Browns are a dumpster fire. And the Giants are a hot mess right now. Who knows what's going to be of the Giants? One would hope that Dable and Joe Shane would be able to turn it around, but there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees that they're going to be an exact replica of, Bean and McDermott. So if that's the case, and those two franchises are what they are, and back when Eli was there and, OBJ was sick of, getting a noodle arm quarterback to throw him the ball, I don't blame him. Most people want to get a good quarterback to throw him the ball. I think he would be a massive. You're talking Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, and Odell Beckham, and then you have
Who guards that?
Right, and then you have Isaiah McKenzie and Dawson Knox and Jamison Crowder and Khalil Shakir. It's absolutely ludicrous. And then that doesn't even include like James Cook, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. There's just weapons galore. And OJ Howard too, if you can figure out how to run and catch again. I'll tell you. I'm 100% game. And Hansel can tell you, we did a projection way back. And I said one of my 7 wide receivers. In fact, I can even show it right here on this page. If you look, it literally says Odell Beckham Jr.
Is the paper still warm from you printing it 2 minutes ago, or is it cooled down?
Listen, semantics. Fact is, I think it's a great idea. I think it would be super beneficial. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it brings a championship, I don't know how I don't really care, as long as we're not cheating, which the Bills don't do. I don't care who you bring in. Just get the championship and we'll talk about it later.
Can we also stop saying that it's tampering? I've seen that on my timeline a few times. Can we please stop saying that it's tampering?
Yeah, not every fan is a smart fan. Okay. The other thing I saw today, and a little not as happy topic, but videos came out that both Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs at the Red and Blue practice had some gear thrown at them by fans. I'll be honest with you. I personally think that if they find the fans should be banned from going to games at the stadium. I don't know if you guys have a perspective on the situation.
Don't throw things at players. Like, just don't do that, especially our quarter billion-dollar quarterback and the saving grace of Buffalo. Like, all I can think is that the football that got thrown at him, like, he's just kind of running and he rolls his ankle and breaks his leg on it, and then the season's over. Also, they're not like animals at a petting zoo. You don't just throw shit at them for like shits and giggles. Sorry for my language. Like it just is such an ugly look, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
I went to, and everyone can fan the way they want to fan, and I'm not going to disrespect you. What bothers me is when I see all the adults kind of like sprinting to the front of the line over the children to like get things signed. I get it if you're running a business, this is to put food on the table, but it rubs me the wrong way. And it would never throw anything at anyone ever, let alone our franchise quarterback that we waited 20 years for. But it's not like these guys aren't waiting after practice, sometimes for hours, to make sure that fans get signatures. I mean, they go out of their way to make sure that they're giving back, to stay behind and sign autographs after games, going around the entire stadium so they can shake everyone's hands. For a franchise that's given back so much in Bills Mafia, with the donations to the hospital, with giving to Andy Dalton, with giving to Lamar Jackson, it stinks that there's a few tiny moments like this that can really kind of shape the national perspective of what Bills Mafia is all about. There's a few bad eggs in every fan base, and unfortunately it was just a video that went viral that we didn't really want to go viral. Let the man run. Please do not throw anything, like Hansel said, at our $250 million quarterback, please.
Yep. Duly noted and agreed in 100%.
It's just like how people look at Bills Mafia like drunk fans who go through burning tables. That is not all of Bills Mafia.
Right. Agreed. Travis Matthews, innovative fabrics keep you looking and feeling your best, whether you are on the golf course or strolling through town, offering supreme comfort for every aspect of your life. With clothing that's quick drying, wrinkle resistant, and super soft, you can move seamlessly from work to play. Get 20% off your first order at travismatthew.com. You'll find the link right on Buffalo Late Night social media pages. Also wanted to announce we do have 2 different contests going on for Buffalo Late Night right now. One of them is a kind of a current event on Buffalo Late Night's Twitter. Go find the tweet that literally tells you, if you comment what day you think Odell Beckham potentially could sign with the Bills. If you get it right and you're the first person to guess that date, you will win an Odell Beckham Bills jersey. And then on the other side, the pinned tweet, we are giving away 4 tickets to the Bills and Broncos preseason game. All you got to do is just follow the directions there. Moving on, gentlemen, got some meat and potatoes for tonight's show. We are just over 2 weeks into training camp. We got about a week left. So far, from what you've seen and heard, is there a player that you've been keeping an eye on, or someone that's really caught your eye thus far?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I guess I'll
How much
kind of
time
go a
do you
little.
got?
Yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit, I guess, outside like the normal kind of breakdown here. I think like Nick McLeod, when I was at the 2 camp practices I was at, I thought he looked really good. And there's a little bit of bias there from me. One thing that I think a lot of people have said over and over and over again is the Bills need more speed in their secondary. And what a lot of people don't know is that Nick McLeod has the 2nd fastest 40 time on the team. He's insanely fast. So he kind of can sit back and be that like speed corner we need from time to time. And they're also kind of moving him back and forth from corner to safety. So he gives you a little bit of depth there too, especially I believe Jaquan Johnson is on the last year of his contract. So Nick McLeod. And then that also kind of brings in Christian Benford, who I've seen a couple interviews with Brandon Beane, and Brandon Beane is crazy high on Benford. Like the way I haven't seen him really speak about a player the way he speaks about Benford. And he seems to talk about him like we basically found this diamond in the rough that no one else knew about. And on like the Bills, last thing I'll say about this, on the Bills training camp tour on Sirius XM, which is Jim Miller and Pat Kerwin, they go to basically every single training camp, and Brandon Beane was on there. Jim Miller and Pat Kerwin actually singled out Christian Benford and were like, we had no idea who this guy was before we got here. We'd never even heard of him. We didn't know anything about his tape, but he flashed. And if those 2 guys are saying this guy that they've never heard of flashed, that means he was doing things that practice that literally stood out so much that they're like, this guy, we need to talk about him. So Benford is definitely someone to look at. And again, Nick McLeod too.
I love it. I loved the Benford thing because that was going to be my guy. I love Benford. I was on a show with Justice General, and we were talking about some guys that we liked coming into camp, and just Brandon Beane's ability to get these late round picks that turned into gold. If it weren't for Taron Johnson kind of getting hit in the side of the head during the combine, he would have been another one that no one would have heard anything about that he picked up, and he wound up succeeding. I think it was with Cynthia Freyland. I think Bean was in the interview with her, and they mentioned Benford, and she looks at the camera and gives the thumbs up because he's just been a stud in camp. And when they released the depth chart officially today, he was behind Trey White, but like you said, Hansel, he's got that versatility where he can play the safety position as well.
Yeah.
Another guy that I really like, and I'm not an X's and O's, I'm just going off of kind of what I've been able to read and stuff, is Terrell Bernard.
I was just going to say,
I love Taron Johnson. Yeah, he's amazing. I love Taron Johnson so much, but the one thing that Bernard could bring to the game that maybe Taron Johnson doesn't is that size at that nickel position. You take Terrell Bernard maybe when we're playing Kansas City and line him up one-on-one against Travis Kelce, that's a nightmare matchup. So seeing those two rookies in specific kind of light it up just makes me really excited that Bean may have found another, like you had mentioned, Hansel, a diamond in the rough in the late rounds.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I love Bernard. Love that he's listed as the backup to Tremaine Edmonds as the middle linebacker. I think it's ludicrous, but I love it. And if that's the route they want to go, and they just want two ultra athletic, fast guys, sideline to sideline guys between Milano and Bernard, whatever. I let McDermott coach up these speed guys. My guy is Khalil Shakir. Hansel and I, we sat at training camp together last week, and aside from Shakir having the weirdest gait you'll ever see, his running is just he looks disjointed, like his legs just look like they're like, I don't know what's going on, but man, he is everything is advertised. I watched a little bit of him pre-draft, and I'm not going to say I was some super fan of his, but you always watch every wide receiver, you kind of see which ones you like. And the one thing that was always caught my eye is his hands are insane, like really, really, really good. College, man, when you watch him, it's effortless. The ball just goes there and is caught. And he has proven very quickly at the red and blue practice. He had a beautiful, beautiful catch. I was sitting next to Joe Miller, and we both just gasped. It was stunning. But he's been such a nice little surprise, and that's the one thing, like Adam, you said, Bean has gotten these diamonds in the rough, these 5th round, 6th round picks, and even though Hansel, a couple weeks ago, you had stated yourself on the Process on Tap podcast, I can't talk for anything, that he was supposed to be a 4th round pick, kind of like that Gabe Davis type of guy. I'll tell you, it's another super talented wide receiver. And you know what? Mackenzie's got one more year. After that, you're talking, this could be Shakir's job. This could be his gig. And then you've got your 3 wide receivers for a long time, because you got Diggs locked up for 6 years. I'm guessing Gabe Davis is probably getting either middle of the season or the end of the season. He's getting a big old contract. I'm fairly confident from how Bean talks about him, he ain't going anywhere. So you got your 3 stud wide receivers locked up for a long, long time.
I was happy today too to see that Hodgins had a really good day. I know that the defense was kind of eaten today, but they were mentioning Hodgins, and the fact that they mentioned him was good, because I know he was kind of a fan favorite when he came out too. So it was nice to see him there. And when you were talking about Shakir, I just think of him, his over the shoulder, like off balance, middle of the air, adjusting to the ball. Like, you can't teach that. It was amazing to see. That was my favorite play from the red and white. Aside from seeing Josh come out in the red helmet, Bills Mafia, don't kill me. I like the red helmet. Please don't unfollow me.
Just not that one. That one was kind of not my favorite red helmet. Yeah, I didn't like the 2 blue stripes. It was a little, I don't know, not my favorite, but it's okay. Today, Ron Raccuia, he went on WGR 550 to talk about the renderings, which are prospectively coming out. From what I've heard from people that I know, in about 3 weeks, they have the September meetings. I've been told right around that time frame that they will be coming out, and Ron Raccuia kind of reiterated that they're very close to kind of putting those out there. He mentioned about that it's going to be 360 degrees enclosed, which is nice. It'll keep that, those winds out. With the new stadium, is there things? No, obviously, I know you both don't live in or around Buffalo, but is there some things that you guys prospectively would want to see with the new stadium?
I'm getting everything I want. I didn't want a dome. I never wanted a dome. My reason for that is very selfish. Again, I don't live in Buffalo, so I don't get to go to that many games. Though this year I'm trying to go to a lot of football games. But saying that, I honestly believe that football should be played outside. I love it. I think it gives an
We might have lost them.
no. It was so heartfelt too. Well, carry on. Anything that you wanted to add in there?
Well, the one thing that I would love to see in the new stadium is a Super Bowl banner. That'd probably be the one thing I'd like to see installed right away as it's built. Is just a really nice, crisp, really big Super Bowl banner. But I'm in the same boat as Hansel, and it's probably because I'm not local anymore. I like football being played outside. That Colts game a few years ago where Shady ran in the end zone in overtime, I loved it. I loved seeing all the snow in there. Every year I go back with my dad for the last game of the year, and I get to take him to the last game, and it's just always been something really special to me. So I love the fact that it's outside. But I don't know. I don't need all the bells and whistles. I'm kind of a simple human being, so I don't know. When I see the specs, I'll think it looks really pretty, but I'm not dying for a big monitor like they have in the Cowboys stadium. I'm not dying for like heated seats or that the press boxes will be heated and air conditioned, because I'm going to be down in the end zone with Bills Mafia. I'm not going to be sitting in a press box watching the game. So I don't know. There's nothing really I'm specifically looking out for aside from that Super Bowl banner that's going to be hanging real nice and pretty and big.
Fair enough. My apologies. My cat just went ballistic. Hansel, carry on.
Oh, no.
Did we literally lose him? Oh, my God. We lost him again. That's unbelievable.
One of the things I liked, though, is Bills Mafia has been really loud, and there was a time where the Seahawks were the 12th man, but let's be honest, the Bills were the original 12th man. So one of the quotes that I liked that came from today was that all of the intensity will create tremendous noise and an unbelievable home field advantage in an atmosphere we think will be second to none in the NFL. Take a playoff Super Bowl caliber team and say it's going to be louder than it already is in Highmark. Oh, my goodness. I cannot wait to hear that.
Yeah, and that's the one thing was they used Tottenham, the Tottenham Hotspurs, as their kind of what they say is kind of like a model, or what they've kind of looked at. And I'll tell you, they showed videos of people, and there'd be a group of 20 or 30 people, and they just tell them to scream, and the noise reverberation it's unreal. So I mean, imagine 62,000 Bills fans inside there.
I don't like that they said there'll be less seats. That's the one thing that I don't like, is there'll be less capacity.
Okay, so here's my thought on this. And, being that I have season tickets, the one thing that's difficult right now is not only are you sitting right on top of people, like if somebody even just moves a little bit over to your right, you have almost no room where you stand. And then on top of it, to get out of the row, there's literally no room between the person's knees. I mean, you're like basically kissing the person that you're walking past. So I do think it's nice. And quite frankly, most stadiums are kind of going to a smaller footprint anyway, in terms of the amount of seats. Though granted, this stadium right now, Highmark, is 900,000 square feet. The new stadium is going to be 1.5 million square feet. So it is going to be significantly bigger, but it's going to have a lot more, I wouldn't say bells and whistles, but features that are going to make it more enjoyable. Because the biggest thing is people don't go to games at the end of the season, even during the Super Bowl era, even last year. I mean, I struggled to sell my tickets to the later games last year because my wife and I weren't able to go. I had ACL surgery, so it was kind of hard to get around on crutches. But even with that, as good as Bills fans are, they don't show up when it's that cold and that blustery and all that stuff. So having a more controlled environment with still it being outdoors, I think is going to pay dividends, because you're going to get that true home field advantage, that noise element, but still kind of have that, like, you're going to feel like it's outdoors.
Yeah, it makes it easier for them to have other events there too, right? Like if they have a soccer game, it won't look empty when there's 40,000 people, with the max size being 60. But
right. Go ahead and Hansel, I know you were cut off by your internet.
Yeah, and it was so good. It started so good.
Yeah, my internet's just been glorious tonight. I'm getting everything I want. I want football should be played outside. That's my main thing. And I love that it's going to be a grass field. I love that. It's not going to be turf. It's going to be grass. And I'm kind of a nerd, so I'm interested in the heating system they're going to use, the water lines they're going to run through the grass to keep it heated during the winter. But it's gonna be so cool to see them. Like, it's December, Josh Allen's like dives for a touchdown and gets grass stains all over his pants. That's going to be awesome. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and not only that, but if Kyle Trimble was here, he'd even speak to it. Injuries are significantly reduced on grass fields over turf fields. So, I mean, that's huge. Whether it's ACL, soft tissue injuries, anything with, your calves, Achilles, anything like that, massive improvement. So that's huge. And I'm sure that went into it. But just the stadium in general, from what they've said, like even the little things that Ron Raccuia said, they're going to have little like corner stores around the stadium. So if people forgot items that they need, I'm sure it's going to be drastically overpriced, but still a great idea. But I do like that they're going to be like a gathering area out front of the stadium, kind of the front door to the stadium, which I think is great. I think utilizing what we have as a stadium for, just big Bills gatherings all the time is going to be, maybe you have the Super Bowl or the parade end up right there, right at the front door of the stadium instead of at downtown. And I don't know. It's just super exciting. I'm really excited about the stadium, and it's going to be coming right around the corner. Okay. Last thing I've got for you guys before I ask the big finale question. Should Josh Allen sit for the preseason?
Yeah, I want him to play one drive, if not two. And if it was still Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator, I would say 0 drives. I don't want to see him for once. I'll see him in the Rams game. It's fine.
Great point.
But I want to see him because I want him to have Ken Dorsey's voice in his ears in a live game before we go to LA. I think that's important. And again, I want him nowhere near any defense. Like, if Josh Allen's going to play, it's going to be the entire starting offensive line. And just tell him to throw the ball away every time. I don't care. Or throw an interception. Doesn't matter to me. Like, he's at a point in his career where he gets the Aaron Rodgers treatment where he doesn't need to do this anymore. There's no reason for him to be on that field. Right. When the actual games come, he'll be ready. Like, I trust Josh Allen to be ready. And it won't even matter. Like, these preseason games, the way that they're played, it's not going to knock any rust off. So if there's rust week 1, there's going to be rust week 1, regardless of how many snaps he plays in the preseason, just because you're so vanilla in these games. Like, you're not showing anything. You're not even really full speed. The defense you're playing against, like, they know not to hit Josh. Like, you don't want to be the third string linebacker on a team that injures Josh Allen, because from an NFL perspective, it looks awful and people would be pissed at you.
Yeah. And speaking on Dorsey, there was one little soundbite that came out of camp today. Case Keenum was talking about him, and he just said that his call sheet is a beautiful mind, which makes me really excited, right? I like that my backup quarterback is gushing over the play calling and the play sheet that Dorsey has, because that just means that Josh Allen's eating it up. And I know that the team didn't have a great practice on offense today, but it makes me so excited. Selfishly, I want to see Josh Allen, total preseason stats, right? 3 for 3 for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. One play, go out there, throw an 80-yard bomb, get out of there. That's all I want to see. Look, we know what we have with Josh Allen. The last thing that I want is some bizarre fumbled snap, turns his ankle. Like, I don't want any of that. Like you said, Hansel, there's going to be rust week 1. There's rust with everyone week 1. With Peyton Manning, with Tom Brady, there's rust week 1, regardless of how many snaps you play in the preseason. Right. But I would like him to play maybe a series or 2, mostly because I want to see what his relationship looks like with Ken Dorsey. But we might not even see that much. I don't know. I selfishly, anytime that there's a football game and it's, hey, Adam, do you want to see Josh Allen throw the football? I'm going to say yes 100 times out of 100. But I just don't want injuries. And with the way that camp's going, with a scary injury to Hyde, with a scary injury to Poyer, with Saffold having the car accident, with Spencer Brown being down and out, with Bates coming off of an injury, I just kind of want to bubble wrap the guys, because if we're going to win it all this season, we need everyone to be healthy. And if that means sitting Josh Allen for 3 preseason games, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, you're not gaining a thing. You're not, there's no benefit whatsoever to Josh Allen being out there. He's proven he's literally maybe the best quarterback in the NFL. I mean, maybe
top 3 and not 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, realistically, he's going to build a relationship with Khalil Shakir, whether it's preseason or not. He's going to continue to bolster the offense with Gabe Davis, whether he plays in the preseason or not. I personally don't think any of the wide receivers, the starting, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, shouldn't play any of the snaps. Just the same as Josh Allen. When you've got a team that's this good, just go into week one. Let them do damage, because at the end of the day, if they don't look good in preseason, who cares? We've got the number one defense who added Von Miller and Tim Settle and Daquan Jones. They're going to be better. They're going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. Even if the secondary is banged up, they're still a very, very, very potent defense. So Josh Allen's probably not going to look very good against them, because no one did, except for 13 seconds. But whatever, I shouldn't even have mentioned it. I apologize.
And last thing I'll say about it is get the depth pieces that have minor question marks, or you want to see if they'll make the team.
Exactly.
Give Khalil Shakir the reps. Get McLeod in there taking reps. Get all the guys with little question marks behind them. We know what we're getting out of our entire offense. We saw it last season, even in the loss against Kansas City. We saw Josh Allen for the rise that Josh Allen's had the past 4 years. We know what we're getting. Put the question marks in there. Let them fight for the last few roster spots, and let's go into next season healthy.
Right. And realistically, if you're going to sit there and try to justify putting Josh Allen, you don't want to have to look back and say, oh, Josh Allen got hurt. Why did we do this? Just don't do it. On a meaningless game, it is not even worth it. Finally, I asked Adam this 2 weeks ago, so it's on you and solely you. It's okay, though. It's fine. We'll support you.
No pressure. No pressure.
Hopefully my internet drops here.
Yeah, God willing. I asked my brother this a couple weeks back. Loved his answers. So would love to hear from you. If you could tell people who have never experienced what it's like to be a Bills fan, in synopsis, what would you say?
Oh man, how would I say this? I always thought it was a curse. So that's what I'll say. It was a good way to learn that you don't always get what you want. And I spent the vast majority of my youth feeling that way. And I would sometimes cry to my father, and he did use it as a learning, experience to be like, you don't always get what you want. Like, just because you want it, you don't get it. And he just said, persist. Like, you don't stop being a fan because the team sucks. It sucks to be the fan sometimes, but you don't stop because it sucks. And at the end of all of it, it all is worth it. And I'm saying it's worth it now, even though we don't have a Super Bowl. We haven't won a damn thing, because all of those moments along the way, right? Like when Tyler Boyd caught that touchdown pass, I cried in a bar. Like, I was so happy, and I cried happy tears for like weeks and weeks after that. Didn't even give a damn that we lost to the Jaguars in the playoffs. I have watched people shit on Josh Allen for years and say he's not good, he sucks. I still deal with people saying that, by the way. And now to see him kind of prove everyone wrong, he is the epitome of what my lifetime has been as a Bills fan. Like, he wanted to be good, but that wasn't enough. He had to do more. He had to persist through all that. And lo and behold, he did persist. And now he is arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. Top 3, not 3. So I just, I mean, that's what it is. You don't always get what you want, and just persist through all of it. And sometimes it really, really, really sucks. Like, really sucks. But I think at the end of this year, I honestly believe, like, win it this year. Like, now the time's right, man. Like, this team is so freaking stacked, and every single second of pain and heartbreak and crying and 13 seconds. And I wasn't alive or don't remember wide right. And, Leotis McKelvin running the ball out, and what's his name? The running back on the Steelers, Willie Parker running through us. And it'll all be worth it if I see Josh Allen hoist that Lombardi trophy. Every single second will be worth it if I see that.
Yep. Yeah, I'll tell you, the sacrimonious feeling of being a Bills fan is one in a million, because quite frankly, most of my life has been just black tar heroin, just awful. I mean, it's one of those things, but it's a I said this last time. It's a birthright that is a blessing and a curse, because it's frustrating as all hell to be a Bills fan. Yep. But man, it's also like the coolest thing in the world, because like when you find other Bills fans, it's like you got this. Like, I got in this argument with this guy today about the Bills stadium stuff, and he said it was downtown. I said it should be in Orchard Park, this, that, and the other. Went back and forth, and at the end of the argument, we both said go Bills and went on our way. It was like saying peace be with you at church. It's it's one of those beautiful things that I hold with me. I've already, with a son on the way coming in January, we were at the Bills practice, at the red and blue practice. I almost bought like a Bills onesie so I can start the next generation. Very excited about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate you. But yeah, no, Hansel agreed. It is. It's one of those things in life that's incredible.
Yeah,
but incredible.
Just throwing one more thing out there real quick is I don't live in Buffalo. I grew up in the east side of New York. I grew up north of Albany and now in the Albany area. So it's not all Bills fans here. Yet when you see a Bills fan, it's just like, oh, you saw your long lost cousin. Like, it's like, go Bills. Like, everyone's like so stoked about it. And I don't see other fans do. Like, I've seen two Jets fans walk past each other and they don't even look at each other. I'm like, what?
Yep.
What? So it's just like you have this unique family that you don't even realize you have, especially when you don't live out there where it's more rare to meet a Bills fan. Granted, now it's becoming almost commonplace no matter where I go that I run into Bills fans.
You seek it out, right? With other fan bases, maybe not, or I haven't seen it, but I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I went to an escape room in a podunk little town 2 weeks ago, and there was a gentleman in there who had a Bills hat on. I walked up to him, and we had a 20-minute conversation about where we grew up in Western New York, the drought years, Josh Allen and his rise. But that conversation happens thousands of times across the country with Bills fans. It's a family extended. And I think a lot of the reason why Bills Mafia is so connected is through that pain, through the pain of being a fan for those 18 years, those devastating losses, those ass whoopings from the Patriots. Like, we went through so much together as a fan base. I don't know. It's more of a family than a fan base to me, because when I do see Bills fans out here that I am in the desert, I feel like I'm home. It's a part of home, something that we both miss dearly, we both love dearly, and it's a more family connection than a fan base connection.
Sure.
By the way, it wasn't an escape room. It was just some guy trying to take you hostage, but I'm glad you're okay.
And then he saw my hat and he's like, oh, come on, get out of here.
Oh, he's a Bills fan. I can't.
He's all right.
It's fine. Gentlemen, I appreciate you both. It's been fantastic to have you guys. Also, again, for anybody that missed it, we are excited and very, very happy to announce that Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills is now a contributor, weekly guest that will be giving information, updates, and all things injury related. Hopefully no things injury related. God willing, knock on wood, that we don't have to worry about any of that. But we have had Uber Hansen, Hansel, and Adam Zintek. Gentlemen, why don't you plug yourself, tell people where they can find your material.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Uber Hansen. I write for Cover One, probably about one article a week, maybe two a week. Process on Tap podcast with Thomas, as well as Back of the Herd Jeremy. I have a website, billsish.com, where I have a bunch of stuff. Actually going to release some things next week that I'm going to, kind of let people know about. And then the last thing is Reddit Bills, our Buffalo Bills. I help moderate that, which is also a blessing and a curse at times, but that's an awesome community. It has 125,000 subscribers, 120,000 subscribers. So
fantastic.
Head over there. It's a good little forum from time to time. It can get a little toxic at points too, though. So be prepped for that.
And you can find me on Twitter at Primetime Adam. I crapped my pants the other day because the NFL mentioned me. That was the coolest moment of my Twitter life. So that was really, really awesome to see. I assist with the running Twitter for Built in Buffalo. I post a couple days a week and then just help manage the content that's on there. I do podcasts every now and then. Anyone asks or anyone wants me to join their podcast, just shoot me an IM on Twitter. I'm more than happy to help. And like I said, you can follow me at Primetime Adam, or my handle is at Adam Zintek 3. Tell me I'm wrong with everything I said.
I'm not saying anything. I think it sounded beautiful. It was just perfectly right. The only thing that was wrong is that you were cut hostage and it wasn't a paid admission.
They led me with Jenny Light cans. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited to actually see that happen twice now. Hopefully we can find this again. Guys, it's been wonderful. Again, you have been watching Buffalo Late Night. I hope to see you guys all tune in again sometime. Check out YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Lots of content. We've had these guys on before, other great guests, other great ones coming up in the very near future. We have some really good stuff coming in the next 2 weeks. Super excited. But as I said, my name is Thomas DeLoss. You can find me at the Thomas DeLoss. Once again, thank you for watching Buffalo Late Night, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now.